Hello everybody, my name is Stephen Redman. Welcome to Pastor's Library. This is the channel where we discuss everything to do with theology books, books that may be on a reading list for a seminary course, for a bachelor's or master's degree in theology or biblical studies, or maybe just simply books that have caught your eye on a bookshelf or that you've seen in your own pastor's office. Well, if you like what we have to say today, please remember to give us a thumbs up on YouTube because that helps the algorithm. We also need to encourage you to subscribe because we're getting very close to that magic 1,000 subscribers. So please help us along with our immediate target. And remember to click on the bell and that will let you know when we launch another episode. So today I want us to talk about the first volume in what will be a 2-volume set of beautifully cloth-bound books. This is the one that's out right now. It's the Old Testament Handbook by Holman. Holman, of course, used to be the biggest Bible manufacturer in the world before Zondervan had the advent of the NIV, and Holman have been fighting back in recent years with the launch of the Holman Christian Standard Bible, which became the Christian Standard Bible, and now the renaming of the New American Commentary Series as the Christian Standard Commentary Series, and a number of accessories coming out to Bibles, of which this is one. And this is a really excellent book. I got this for Christmas. Someone who loves me bought it for me. I bought it for myself. This cost me £28 in British money, and it's a really well sewn binding. It's a colourful volume full of great layout, wonderful pages, clear designs. It's got a great red page marker so you can keep your place in this. And I have to say to you that this is a superbly presented piece of work. Is it an academic book? Well, you could certainly quote from it. It doesn't have any footnotes. It does have a list of sources at the background, which is only a single page. But what I would say to you is however developed you are in your reading, I would suggest this may well give you ideas and inspiration that you've not had before. What this does is it goes through every single book of the Old Testament, and it gives you lots of pictorial and textual ideas which will help you understand the book indeed. So there's an introductory page, there's an outline page. Most interesting to me is a word study page. I'm going to use Genesis today as an example of all these things because it happens to be the first part of the book. But for example, in Genesis, it highlights 3 Hebrew words, which I'm probably going to try and say, but whether or not they remotely represent a fair and accurate pronunciation is up to you to decide. But Serah, which means seed, Heretz, which means land, and Parah, which means fruitful. And I'm sure that if you've read Genesis through a couple of times, you don't even have to look at this page to think, yeah, I can see seed, land, fruitful. I can see how those words fit into Genesis. And what it is saying to us is that these are 3 key words which help us understand the book. It then has a timeline page for the book, and then it goes into very specific pages for Genesis, like a table of creation day by day, a table of early covenants, and a table of directions to Adam and Noah. It gives us a comparison between Noah and Jesus. And let me say, you will find this throughout this Old Testament handbook, that you will find connections with Jesus. you will find ways that we can see Jesus in the Old Testament, which as Christians is a very important thing for us. And I would suggest to you all those pages are well worth a read. There's a table of salvation through judgment, and then there's a map of Abraham's migration, and the pages go on explaining to us everything we need to know about Abraham. There's a great emphasis on Joseph as well, a page about Joseph's life, which ends the section on Genesis. Now, to say that this book has 245 pages and it's a good size and it feels good in the hand and it will stay open at a page when you turn it flat. This book, to me, looks a lot more expensive than its price might reveal, which I think tells us that some of the academic books that we read, which maybe only sell a few hundred copies, let alone a few thousand copies, they are expensive. Whereas a book like this, which may well be very, very popular for Holman over the next couple of years, I would suggest to you this will sell very, very well, especially in the USA. Over here in the UK, where unless you happen to see it in someone else's house or on a video like this, you may not even get to recognise that this book exists because we don't have Bible bookshops anymore. But what I would say to you is that anyone who has seen this is going to think, I could see a purpose in this. I would like it. I would suggest to you that whereas this has academic features, it is almost a coffee table book, the sort of thing that you can leave open on a coffee table for visitors to glance in. And I think that in that purpose, it might actually find a role too. I think if you look at this book in detail, I would suggest for every book you will find out something you didn't know previously. It really is rich. The section on Elijah and Elisha I found very interesting. I found the section on the book of the 12, well, that's the minor prophets. I also found that to be very interesting. I think that this is a sheer good value background book for anyone who may be just looking, or even if they're familiar already with the Old Testament. It will be empowering, it will give you good ideas, even the ideas for tables and particular maps and things. Those would help you if you are producing PowerPoint or handouts for Bible study groups or for sermons. And I would suggest for small group leaders, this would be a really good resource to have. Now, of course, I've said to you, this is the Old Testament handbook. It comes with this cloth cover and it's in 2 colours available at the moment, which is really good. But of course, that means that there should be a New Testament one. And that's coming out early in 2024. And I've already pre-ordered mine. And if it's as good as the Old Testament one, then I shall do a video on that too. But realistically, this is the sort of book that I would expect anyone who is serious about Bible study to have there as a point of reflection, as a point of inspiration. And, this really is an inspiring book because it presents ideas visually, colourfully, in ways that you may not have thought of them already. For example, the book of Proverbs, it gives us not only all the things that I've talked to you about in Genesis, but it talks about a timeline for Solomon. It gives us the 4 contributors and what is known of them. That's Solomon, Hezekiah's men, Agur, and King Lemuel. And these ideas, I think, are very helpful. It also gives us a key quote, and that I think is a very interesting quote. And it gives us a comparison between wisdom in Proverbs and New Testament on wisdom. So all of this has something to offer. I would just simply say, if you haven't got one, this might be something worth being put on your next year's Christmas list or your birthday list, or simply just going out and ordering. So that's the Old Testament Handbook by Holman. It's available now in 2 colours, and watch out for the launch of the New Testament volume, which will be out to match later on this year. I hope that's been helpful. If it has, please give us a thumbs up, and please remember to subscribe and click on the bell if you haven't done already. Help us get to 1,000 subscriptions. Thank you very much, and God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, bye!